Greetings, traveler. I'm SnapJelly, and the claymores in Oblivion. Are they realistic? Well, this was a little difficult to judge because of their size, really. They seemed a bit big for me to compare them to medieval two-handed swords, because the claymores in Oblivion are two-handed swords, but they don't quite seem like greatsword length to me. However, something that made it easy to judge these weapons was actually the designs, because most of the designs are not that bad. They're not great, but they're not bad. So join me in my quest, and I'll tell you why. Starting off with the Steel Claymore, there's nothing that I can really say about this design. It has a striking resemblance to a Scottish Claymore, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. Next up is the Iron Claymore. Again, it looks very reasonable. The guard is a bit small for my taste. And also, looking at it closely, it seems that the ricasso is sharp, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. There are some bumps and wiggly things at the top here, but those could be flamberges, however you would pronounce that, which you see quite a lot on greatswords, so I don't really have a problem with it. There's also a fine Iron Claymore, but it has the same design. Next up is the fine Steel Claymore. Again, the guard is a bit small, but okay. It's wider at the top here, which might increase cutting power, but it doesn't really have a purpose. And there's this segment in the middle, which is not really gonna help you. Greatswords often have that after their ricasso, which serves partially as an extra guard, but in this case, a little stub like that, it's not gonna help you. Next one is the Silver Claymore. Alright, I gotta say that it has a very weird pommel, and this is where the size of the sword really comes into play. If it's more of a longsword kind of sword, then that is going to be an annoyance because it's not really comfortable to grab. If it's more of a greatsword kind of sword, then really it does not matter all that much. So, in that regard, you decide for yourself if you think that's a problem. I personally think that a normal pommel would be better either way. You know, a pommel that doesn't have like protruding things, but whatever. I honestly can't really tell if this ricasso is sharp or not. It is very long though. Is that a problem? Well, no, not per se, but just wanted to point it out. Overall, the design is not that bad. Next up is the Dwarven Claymore. Now, I don't know what it is, but this one looks just kind of weird to me for some reason. I don't know why, the blade looks weird. It doesn't really look like a blade, it's very odd. Also, this is the shortest and stubbiest guard up until now. So yeah, the others were already a bit too short. This one is really, this one is nothing. And it again looks like it has a sharp ricasso, which, in which case it's not really a ricasso, it's just a blade that has these points in the middle. So, yeah. It's not that good, it's not great, but overall it could be way worse. Next one is the Elven Claymore. Now, do you remember, if you've seen my video about the Oblivion longswords, how shitty the Elven longsword was? It was absolutely horrible. This one, however, is not that bad. It's so weird because it's like the Elven longsword was designed by a completely different person than all the other weapons so far as I've seen. It's really strange that it just doesn't fit in with the rest. The pommel is fairly similar to the Silver Claymore, so the same applies as what I said there. And again with the small guard, I've mentioned that before. No ricasso this time, but there is this segment on the blade that is close to the guard. I suppose you could call them some sort of languettes. Maybe those gaps could be used for trapping opponents' blades. I personally kind of doubt it. So I'm not really sure how that would affect usage of the blade, positively or negatively. I don't really think that you could effectively use them to your advantage though. In the end, does it matter? No, not an awful lot, but overall, if they weren't there, would be better slightly, so whatever. The design is not that bad. It's way better than the longsword in any case. Next one is the Glass Claymore. Again, there's no ricasso, and this one just kind of seems like it has two guards. One that is incredibly tiny, and one that is even tinier. That is... Okay, the blade and grip are absolutely fine. There's nothing that I can say about that. But this construction right here is just odd. I have no idea how that could benefit you in any way. If that would actively protect your hands, then it's gonna be luck, more than anything. Next up is the Ebony Claymore. The design is very simplistic. There's honestly not that much wrong with it. In terms of functionality, the guard is just stubby. It's fatter than it needs to be, and it's short like usual. But overall, there's honestly, I can't really say anything bad about it. It's the most simplistic design of sword you can get, so it's fine. And lastly, the Daedric Claymore. Now it looks horrible, but it is honestly not that horrible. There are a few very stupid mistakes, like it has spikes pointing down on the guard, which will poke you in the hand. Stupid. And it has spikes on the pommel, which if you touch that, you'll prick yourself, which is stupid. Those would obviously have to go, but if those are gone, then compared to the rest, it wouldn't really be a bad sword. It again has some flamberges, which I don't have a problem with. It seems to have like kind of hook thingies at the top, sort of, which, yeah, that's kind of fantasy-ish, really. It would be better if those weren't there, but it's not the worst thing in the world. The guard is not smaller than any of the other guards on these swords, so can't really complain about that too much. And the ricasso seems short, but again, that's not really an issue. So overall, this blade is really not that bad, actually. Well done, Oblivion, I'm proud of you. So that was it, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to know if the longswords in Oblivion are realistic, you click the button over here. If you want to know if the swords in Skyrim are realistic, you can click the button over there. And thank you for joining my quest, and I hope you'll join me in the next one. Bye, guys.